Good morning, everyone. Thank you, dear Mayor. Thank you, dear Gabrieli, for this kind invitation. Thank you for your commitment for translating my book wrote in English in Hungarian. I'm very, very proud of that. And of course, I wish you to enjoy to read this book. It's my different research on this topic. I'm very, very happy to be here today, and in particular after the national elections, Mr. Gabrieli has evoked this transformation. Congratulations for the Hungarian people. Congratulations from Paris to Budapest, and we are totally committed with you for continuing to develop this more livable country, livable city. And of course, we are very, very happy by this European comeback. You missed in Europe. This is now a new reality. Thank you. Thank you for voters. My presentation, of course, is related to my research work on the rise of the 15-minute city. Mr. Mayor has evoked the development of this concept, including in Budapest. Thank you for inviting as well this concept. The rise of the 15-minute city is today related to the importance for developing a new paradigm for living in our cities, for restoring our useful time, for restoring life, for having a real quality of life. The 15-minute city concept, and I am very proud of that, has become a worldwide popular concept in the 5 continents today, in a lot of different cities around the world. Regardless of the size of the density, this concept today is a reality for changing the urban lives, for changing the territorial life. In the 15-minute city concept, the less important point is the number of minutes. 15, 10, 20. We have today a lot of different nicknames for evoking the importance to restoring proximity, to improving our daily quality of life, for developing more social interactions, for developing an ecological behavior, and for transforming our local economy. I am very happy to be today in Budapest in the Earth Day. This is, of course, a really important moment for understanding the relevance of this concept related to the ecological challenge in our cities. And in fact, if we want to understand why this concept has a global success, is related to that this concept is one of the relevant keys for reconciling sustainability and quality of life. Sustainability is today totally mandatory for transforming our cities. Sustainability is in fact to transform our cities in face with the climate challenge, in face with the loss of biodiversity. This is the first strategic axis in ecological way, given that our cities are the most important contributor in CO2 emissions by the permanent commute, the massive presence of individual cars, and the development of the urban sprawl, and in particular, the development of the building for a single use. A single use for working, a single use for living, a single use for cultural activities. Reconciling sustainability and quality of life means to developing the short distances in cities for reducing our CO2 emissions. Developing the green areas is for restoring biodiversity, restoring clean air, restoring water, restoring the friendly environment on the one hand. But the quality of life is as well to develop more social interactions, to take care of fragile people, to take care of elderly people, children, to have the public spaces safe for human, to develop the cultural activities in the public space. And as well, the quality of life is to offer a more vibrant local economy, to develop the short circuits, to use the local materials, to develop the local knowledge, to develop a local added value, instead of to continue to live in the global economy just for being the massive consumers without a local added value. We have today this concept worldwide, including in cities as Utrecht in Netherlands, the most bike-capable city in the world. In Utrecht, we have today more than 200,000 daily bikers. But the problem in Utrecht was, in particular, the bike jams, because early in the morning we had the bike jams during the peak hours. And the mayor of Utrecht said, we need to develop a campaign for switching from bikes to buses, for reducing the presence of bike jams. And we have discussed with the team of the mayor, and I evoked that if we need to cross the city, even with a bike, it's better with a bike than a car. It related to the absence of the local services, of the polycentric way, of the local activities for avoiding to cross the city just for having access to a service. For this reason, Utrecht has launched the strategic program Utrecht in 10 minutes, 10 minutes Utrecht. I am very proud of that, just for illustrating that this is not only a question of commute, this is a question of the quality of life for offering a lot of services accessible in shorter distances, in proximity, for developing more social interaction and for developing more local activities. I'm very proud of this picture because this picture was when 6 years ago we have launched with Anne Hidalgo the electoral campaign based on my concept, the 50-minute city. Anne Hidalgo said the 50-minute city is the backbone of my urban development for my mandature. This was the electoral campaign. We won, of course. But the point is that Anne Hidalgo is surrounded by the scientists. On the left, my colleague, Nobel Prize climate scientist Jean Joseph. He is a member of the IPCC, that laureate by the Nobel Prize. And on the left, myself. Just for saying, and Gergely knows very well that, we need mayors that have trust in science. Science is not an opinion. Science is the fact, the analysis by the concrete and complete methodology for examining the situations, for collecting data, for evoking evidences, for proposing hypotheses, for demonstrating that these hypotheses are available, and to propose a vision for transforming in our case, our cities. Science is a way for building the new paradigms. And the success of Anne Hidalgo, 2 mandatures, and for the third, she stopped politics, but the new mayor is the successor of Anne Hidalgo for continuing in this way. The point is, in fact, to have science for supporting the new urban policy. And this characteristic of Anne Hidalgo is one of the relevant points, to listen to scientists, to trust in science, to understand the importance of science, and of course to transfer our discourse as scientists is not always very comprehensible, our points. Anne Hidalgo has transformed our scientific proposals for having the concrete transformation for our cities. This 15-minute city figure is today translated in more than 30 languages. This is very, very clear. And the GIF proposed at this period, when we have started the electoral campaign, is today a reality. The most relevant point is that our vision is to have a positive impact in the ecological way, economical way, and the social way. This is the sense of sustainability. We need to transform our paradigm because, unfortunately, worldwide, for 7 decades, we have been living in the legacy of the Le Corbusier, Athens Chart, in particular, deployed massively in Europe after the Second War. This is the paradigm in the modern urbanism after the Second War worldwide. Le Corbusier said the city that succeeds is the one that moves fast and sure. And for that, this pattern is a pattern present in Europe, in America, in Asia, based on the speed for commuting with the massive individual cars, motor highways, the zonification, and the way for rejecting, for expulsing poor people in the outskirts, so far of the centers, without services, just for living. This is the pattern of our modern cities based on this zonification. Le Corbusier said, for having efficacy in our actions, we need to be concentrated. For this reason, our cities worldwide have this zonification development. A place for working, a place for living, a place for cultural activities, a place for administrative actions. This is my favorite exercise with my researchers, students, academics. To take a city, to identify the essential daily needs and to put in color for each one of that. At the end, we'll have this separation of colors. This is the principle of zonification. And for joining from one color to other color, we need to use unfortunately for a long time, an individual car or the mass transportation, and for working is the mass transportation. At the same time, the name is the peak hours. We wanted to transform that. The urbanism during the 20th century was the urbanism for long distances. We have conquered distances, but unfortunately, we have lost the useful time. We have accepted to spend daily a lot of time, hours, just for commuting from my home to my job, 1 hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours, just for a round trip. We have accepted to develop this familial disconnection, social disconnection. We have accepted to transform our neighborhoods in the dormitory places. We have accepted to be disconnected of our families because we are absent. We have accepted to become the anonymous neighbors. We have accepted to live in this social disconnection with the public spaces, given that public spaces were in permanence overcrowded by cars. This is today our challenge, to understand that losing our useful time, we have lost our quality of life. This was the sense of the transformation in 1961 in Paris. We have created in Paris, in 1961, the biggest corporate district in Europe, La Défense, in the west, 1 million square meters for hosting daily 400,000 workers. But these workers in fact, lives at the opposite of the city. La Défense in the west, people in the east or northeast. For this reason, 1 year after, in 1962, we have transferred the Seine River from the east to the west in a massive motor highway for allowing with the individual cars for commuting from the east to the west. And we have generated daily 300, 400 kilometers of traffic jams. And the metro line and the the express railway has been becoming the busiest public transportation in Europe. 1.2 million passengers per day from east to the west, and 600,000 during the peak hours, just 1 hour or 2 hours at the beginning of the day. This is the sense of our proposal. Instead of to have the separated colors based on zonification, to develop the well-being based by the proximity of the daily essential functions, for generating these intersections, for instead of to develop the single use of building, to develop the multi-purpose use of buildings. This is not only a place for working, in other places after 1 hour for living or for accessing to cultural activities in other places. We need to develop this new hybridization, intersections, the multi-purpose functions, to develop short distances, to generate more social interactions. The idea, in fact, is to develop this rainbow of the well-being because we will mix the different colors. This is not a magic wand for transforming in a few months, in a few years. This is the long-term policy based on the mid-term program and the tactical, concrete, short-term measure. Based on this mixity, the functional mixity for the daily functions and the social mixity. Mr. Mayor Delgali has evoked the relevance of the social housing in our cities. We have been living in Europe in a crisis of social housing, the affordable housing. If we wanted to fight against gentrification in cities, we need to develop an ambitious program for fostering social housing in all cities. We need to transform this livability based on this sustainable proximity for mix the social functions and for mixing the social categories. We need to develop the sense of belonging. The sense of belonging is one of the strategic points for being proud of our street, our block, our neighbor, for developing more activities in order to be present in our life with our family, our neighbors, our colleagues. This is the pattern of the modern cities. La Défense in Paris at the west and the people that live at the opposite. This is Buenos Aires. The same pattern in South America. La Défense at the center of the city and the people that live in the outskirts. This is the pattern of Santiago de Chile, the highest corporate business tower in South America. And this is the insane pattern of Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, the lowest density in the world, the country of the nomadic people, transformed into the same pattern, a corporate district, the zonification, the zonified areas, and the slum areas. This is the global pattern of zonification based on a city just for being producers and consumers. We have accepted to develop this triple obesity. The obesity of the city is problem. The obesity of cars, more and more big cars. and the obesity of persons based on the absence of physical activities. We have accepted to develop the big mall in the outskirts. We have accepted to transform a Seine River in a motorway just for developing this commute. In face of the climate crisis, the new urban illnesses, the social housing crisis, the democracy crisis, the presence of the authoritarian governments just for having the economical performance by the financial mechanisms for the unproductive business. We needed to transform our cities, and with our concept, the 50-minute city, the 30-minute territory, we have opened this dialogue. In fact, proximity exists in a lot of cities in the world, but in places where we have an access based on the gentrification. The proximity is related to the access for a privilege of class. Proximity is unequally distributed. We have in a lot of modern centers with the high prices by the square meters, lot of services. But in a lot of majority of places, we have just places for living without services. This is an example in the south of France, in a middle city, in Toulouse. For people that live in the center of Toulouse, the life is in blue. They have an access to a lot of different services in proximity. But for people that live 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers far away of the historical center, the life is in red. Just for having a house without services. For this reason, we said we need to understand that housing is not just a roof, and four walls. Housing without the services is a double punishment. For this reason, we need to develop in the city urban health services, social inclusion, economical inclusion, human dignity, safety places, and well-being. During the end of the 20th century, we have developed the important commitment against economical inequity. But today, at the beginning of the 21st century, with the 50-minute city concept with proximity, we have developed our commitment for fighting not only against economical inequities, but as well against this urban segregation and social inclusion related to the spatial injustice and the temporal injustice. Our motto, in fact, is to develop a commitment against the social vulnerability. The social vulnerability is the set-off of the economical injustice, spatial injustice, and temporal injustice. This was the sense of the program developed and implemented with Anne Hidalgo during the second mandature, to develop proximity and circularity at the center of our urban development. Circularity by the economy and circularity by the social interactions. It all starts at home. Local actions for sustainable cities and communities. This was the motto of the World Urban Forum in November 2024 in Cairo. This was my proposal that was accepted by the World Urban Forum, to place this proximity and circularity at the center of our urban development. In the 21st century, the essential of my colleagues evoked the importance of artificial intelligence with the technology. And I said, for understanding the 50-minute city concept, for understanding the concept of the urban generations, is not enough to understand the importance of the artificial intelligence, the AI. We need to understand three AIs, different AIs. At the center, the adaptive intelligence. The adaptive intelligence is our capability for adapting our cities in our mindset to the triple crises, ecological, economical, and social. And the other AI is the ancestral intelligence, the local sustainable solutions, to be enrooted in our culture, to be enrooted in our economical short circuits, to reconquer the local knowledge, to develop the local solutions, to have this capability for being proud of the places where we live. Open-minded. The question is not to have Budapest great again. The question is to understand the history of Budapest, to be open to the mind, but to develop these local solutions for be adapted and to use technologies for life. This is the sense of the 15-minute city. This is the resume, 8 principles. Proximity to essential services, to daily essential services. Organic density, for using these local materials for reducing our CO2 footprint. To develop the mixed uses for being in short distances. To develop the high quality in public spaces. To develop the efficient public transportation. To promote the active low carbon mobility on foot or bike or public transportation. To develop the economical and social inclusivity. And to use technology with the ubiquity for reducing distances, for developing accessibility for more services. This is the sense to develop the social circularity, to mix 6 essential functions where I live, work, supply, care, learn, and to enjoy. 6 daily functions for having these places in a polycentric city with the mixity of the social functions and the social mix, and to change the indicators. I have proposed 3 different indicators for measuring the quality of life. The first one, my personal and familial well-being. The second one, my sociability, my relationships with my neighbors and my work colleagues. And the third one, my ecological indicator, sustainability, CO2 footprint, biodiversity, and otherness. For developing, on the one hand, by the polycentricity in the city, a city with a short to low carbon distances and more habitability. This is not a question to have a roof for walls. This is a question to have the habitability for this accessibility. We have developed with my team, with the ONU Habitat, with the UCLG, the oldest international organization of local governances, a scientific methodology based on this concept for redefining the quality of life, the matrix of the high societal quality of life. This is the sense of our commitment to implement this rainbow of the high quality societal life in the different places in the city, for creating new centralities in the city, for reinforcing our identity, for developing proximity and circularity, for developing a new geographical economy, for proposing more balanced services, for developing the well-being and the quality of life. We are based in 3 concrete technological elements. The first one, the chrono-urbanism, to have a city with short distances. The second one, the chronotopia, one place, multiple uses, for fighting against the single use of building. And the third one, the topophilia, to love our place, the sense of belonging. The chrono-urbanism, the capability for accessing on foot or by bike in shorter distances. The possibility for offering shorter distances, considering the different profile of inhabitants. A shorter distances, the time is not the same for a teenager, for a pregnant woman, for an elderly people, for elderly sick people. We need to consider the different profile of people that live in an area for offering the different services accessible for each one of them. A teenager prefers to have a disco elderly people wish to have a drugstore or optician. This is not enough to propose equipments accessible in the shorter distances. We need to offer these services related to the people that live in this area for offering this service. For this reason, we need to use mathematics, computer science, statistics, probabilities, economics models for offering this capability for accessing in the diversity of people to the services. Topophilia is the sense of belonging in our cities. This is the street for kids in Paris that have totally transformed our city. 300 schools, 300 street for kids. This is today one of the most important transformations that Anne Hidalgo has implemented. This is the new concept because we have developed 300 schools, 300 street for kids in front of the school. Now we have decided to implement 500 new garden streets. The concept of the garden street is different of the street for kids because the garden street is in fact to cancel the car parking in surface. We have just one lane for moving with the car, but it will be impossible to have a car park in surface. We have transformed the car park by the visualization, parklet, or the economical activities. The economical activities are at the core of our invisible transformation. The city of Paris has created the commercial property of the city of Paris. These different shops, the owner of this different shop is the city of Paris. The city of Paris has an amazing asset of spots, renting with a price below the price of the speculative real estate market for installing restaurants, bar, bookstore, etc. This is one of the most important transformations because the city of Paris has this subsidiary company, the commercial property, la foncière du commerce, just for developing the local commerce, the local shop, the local economy, co-working places for generating this economy. And at the same time, we have developed this ambitious project for transforming the single-use buildings in the multi-uses and the social housing. This is the new centrality that we have developed in Paris with Anne Hidalgo. Instead of to have the abandoned places, instead of this abandoned place, we have developed this transformation. 50% of social housing, 20% of middle-class housing, 30% of owners. This is the sense of the Chronotopia, to develop the places for developing the economy in the different activities. We have opened the schoolyards during the weekend for transforming a public space closed during the weekend for developing the local activities with parents, with neighbors, for developing the new economy. Just for finishing, this is an example of the local economy in South Korea based on the 50-minute city. I propose to mayor to develop a card for fostering the proximity by the local shop and by the commerce. The mayor of Busan embraced this idea. We have developed this card with a chip. We have developed apps, and we have developed a QR code. And we have developed a digital platform for integrating the different local commerce and public places of the managed by the city with the different services. And the idea, in fact, is with my phone to flash the QR code. After flashing my QR code, my card has been increasing with the point. If I have in my phone 10,000 footsteps, I have the extra bonus with the points. With the points, I have access to the place by the city the cultural exhibitions, the theater, cinema, free of charge. For the private commerce, I have a reduction of 10% or 50% or 30% regarding of the number of points. This is a great success for fostering the local economy. And we have integrated in this digital platform lot of different local shops, local commerce activity, totally open with this kind of activity. This is today one of the favorite activities of lot of young people that prefer during noon and during the break lunch to go on foot for flashing QR codes in order to have a lot of points in the card and after to access in the free conditions for the activities. And this is one example of the access to the different activities. This is the sense of our development. The 50-minute city is not a static concept. This is the alive concept. We have in permanence to develop the new proposals. I have the chance to work with the Nobel Prize Paul Krugman for 4 years. Paul Krugman was laureate with the Nobel Prize by the new economical geography, the local economy distributed in places. And I proposed, in fact, to be inspired by the new economical geography by Paul Krugman for cities. In this way, I have developed this new extension of the 50-minute city based on the new economical geography on sustainable proximity. For this reason, this is not only an ecological attitude, this is not only a social attitude, this is a triple attitude: social, economical, and ecological. We have developed, I wrote a scientific paper recently with Paul Krugman, proximity in the new economical geography. And this paper has evoked this idea, the old wisdom. The old wisdom is the ancestral intelligence. To have an economy based on the local conditions for integrating these shorter circuits, local productions, local knowledge, the local ecosystem for integrating. This is the spot in Paris in blue, managed by the city of Paris for developing the local commerce as the common good. This is the concrete spot, bookstores, chocolate makers, etc. We have today this concept not only in Paris, but in the Ile-de-France region, 10 million of inhabitants. The Ile-de-France region, the president, Valérie Pécresse, the right party, the center-right party, was interested for developing with my team in Paris this concept of the Ile-de-France region based on the new distributed economy. And we have signed an agreement with the Ile-de-France region for developing the concept for 32 new centralities, 144 polarities for the 10 million of inhabitants that live in the Ile-de-France region, based essentially in the new economical distribution. Instead of to have the essential of the economy located in La Défense, in this area, to develop a distributed economy in the Ile-de-France region. We have signed an agreement and we are today in the working process for submitting a new roadmap based on this idea, reconciling ecology, economy, and the social interactions for having a positive impact. This is my last slides for saying that this concept is present today worldwide, and to thank Mr. Mayor Gergely Caraxoni for this translation. Just for finishing, I produced a new word, proximians. I remember the last time when I was in Budapest, we have the flood of the Danube River. We went to for the humanity in this emergency, this crisis. When we have this climate change crisis with a lot of impact, when you have the power outage, when you have the financial crisis, when you have the energy crisis, this is today, proximity, in fact, is the best of resilience. We are having big crisis, but if you have a lot of services in proximity, we have the possibility for continuing to have a most normal life. For this reason, I said proximity is the best of resilience, and I proposed during the last World Urban Forum in Cairo this new word, proxilience. Proxilience is for joining resilience and proximity. We have created a new NGO with UN Habitat, United Nations, UCLG, and my team at Sorbonne, the Global Observatory of Sustainable Proximity. We have developed the Global Integrated Urban Planning Methodology for local governments. This is the open access document, totally free, for offering the possibility for transmitting with this methodology in theoretical and action plan for developing these sustainable proximities for the high quality of societal life. This is the sense of our development using mathematics, computer science, and as well, we have developed the tools for working with the citizens for creating this local proximity, urban proximity, territorial proximity, oriented urban regeneration. We have in Europe this program. This is the 6th year, the driving urban transitions, oriented 50-minute city. We have developed today more than 150 European projects in the collaborative actions, and the Global Observatory of Sustainable Proximity. This is a common tool for sharing our best practices, for developing the new ideas, for extending the concept, and of course, you are invited to join this observatory. Thank you for your attention.